Hot afternoon here in Gainesville. Good crowd turning out. A record crowd last night, 3,140. Watched that thriller that went 9 innings, and they filed into the park here today, and no surprise to these Florida fans to see the senior Kelly Barnhill in the circle.
Well, in this elimination game, of course, they're going to go with their ace, Barnhill. You need to put your team in the best position to win, and she is going to throw the ball in the upper 60s, even into the low 70s. She has that rise ball that she's able to spin on any plane throughout the zone, but the key pitch for her this postseason has been that two-seam fastball low in the zone. When it comes out of her hand, it looks the same as the rise balls, but one drops down and the other one goes up.
We are ready in this winner-take-all game. 98 degrees, our game time temperature. Aubrey Leach stands in, and Barnhill's first pitch is fouled off. Our starting lineup brought to you by Capital One. Leach leading the team at .413 on the season, getting on base at a .525 clip. Amanda Ayala getting a second straight start, hitting second. She had a double against Barnhill last night. Chelsea Segrin had a 3-for-4 night for Tennessee, who won last night here 3-2 in 9 innings. And it really starts at the top of the lineup here with Aubrey Leach, the senior. And that's going to be a big theme here today. Will this be the final game for a handful of seniors on both teams? And the way that Leach has been playing here in the NCAA tournament, she is playing like she wants to will her team to Oklahoma City.
Well, she has just turned it on throughout this entire postseason. She's been so aggressive in her at-bats, especially what we saw in yesterday's game. In the first day, Tennessee was a little bit on their heels, but they came right out and attacked Kelly Barnhill's pitches yesterday, and that's what led to their success. And we're already seeing that here again early today.
One-two misses. It's 2-2. Karen Weekly, co-head coach for Tennessee, with her husband Ralph, who's in the dugout. Really proud of the fight this team showed last night, and it's the second time they were in an elimination game. They had to knock off Carolina to get here to Gainesville. Slap foul, and we'll do it again. So this is the third time that Tennessee has had this back-to-the-wall feeling, but first time Florida's experienced it since last year in the Super Regionals against Texas A&M. We all remember that worked out pretty well for the Gators. Came down to the last pitch, but it worked out well.
It did end up working out very well, and I think Coach Walton would agree that that definitely worked in their favor with their backs up against the wall.
Popped up foul ground. Reynoso giving chase, but just can't get there. Well, Madison and I last night, and again today, we are trying to digest everything that happened in the game. Of course, the big takeaway, the highlight, was the attempted steal of home to try to walk off that way, which would have been the most unique way you could imagine to win a game. But there were so many little pieces in the game. Reynoso making great defensive plays. Barnhill, strike three. Tennessee wants to know, was it a swing or was it a called strike three?
It looks like they're going to call it on the swing. This pitch on the outside half of the plate. You can see Aubrey Leach's bat look like it breaks the plane. Already we're seeing this aggressiveness from this Lady Volunteers lineup, and Kelly Barnhill taking advantage of it by bringing the heat on that one.
Here is the sophomore Amanda Ayala, designated player at 309 on the season. She's had some good at-bats as of late, including last night against Barnhill. Had a double and a run batted in. The 0-1. 1-1. Barnhill threw 158 pitches last night, giving her a 2-game Super Regional total of 280, as she has the quick turnaround again. That was a game that started at 6, took almost 4 hours to play. Stayed here afterwards, got treatment, and came to the ballpark ready to go. Ayala with a fly ball to shallow center field. That's Jade Caraway who comes in for out number 2.
And Barnhill's somebody who you're going to have to pry the ball out of her hands if you don't want it in her hands in the circle. She is such a competitor. She wants the ball day in and day out, and she's somebody who's used to throwing a lot of pitches. She works on that throughout the entire year. There were stretches where she threw 5 games in a row, so this is nothing new for Barnhill.
155th appearance of her career and the 135th start. No matter what, this will be the final game here at Presley Stadium for Barnhill and for Amanda Lorenz. Seniors who have pitched and played so well here. That's a little blue. Second baseman Adams calls for it, a 1-2-3 inning to get things started here in Gainesville, Florida, coming up. Our control room here in Gainesville, where producer Chris Damiani, director Mike Griffin, hard at work, and they would be the first two to tell you in air-conditioned comforts.
Yes. Much different than outside.
All their camera guys and technicians out here in the sun putting in the hard work, and Ashley Rogers ready to do some work, her second start here of this Super Regional.
Well, they're going with Rogers again in the circle. She didn't have her best start on Friday, but looking to come out a lot better today. She's going to throw the ball anywhere in the mid-60s. She works every single quadrant of the strike zone. She has a rise ball that she'll throw on every plane. She'll mix in a ball low in the zone with that drop, a curve to both sides of the plate, and she also has a very effective changeup.
Take a look at the Florida starting lineup, brought to you by Capital One. No surprises at the top. Amanda Lorenz, Kendall Lindemann, Hannah Adams. Adams coming off a very good game on Saturday. Jamie Hoover hitting cleanup for the Gators, who come in with 48 wins on the season. Their loss last night ended a 9-game winning streak, so they had been on a run in the postseason, led by their pitching and their defense. And the hitting has been led by who else? Lorenz. Number 2 pick in the MPF draft. Her teammate Kelly Barnhill, the number 1 pick. 30th game of her NCAA career. Two and 0. You mentioned Rogers' start on Friday. It was very interesting. She's a freshman. She's the ace of the staff from Athens, Tennessee. First team all-conference selection. Pitched 1 inning, threw 2 pitches of the second inning before she was pulled from the game. She gave up 3 hits and 2 runs in that first inning.
And the reason for that was just she was falling behind in counts, like we're seeing already to Amanda Lorenz here to start off this game as she comes in for a strike. But she was throwing way too many balls, throwing it well off of the plate. And these Florida Gators were not chasing at those pitches. So very quickly, Tennessee made a change to Maddie Moss.
Moss threw 5 innings in relief, gave up 4 hits, just 1 run through 83 pitches. And that'll be the big question here today for the Weeklies, who have been known to use all 3 pitchers. We saw it in this tournament against Ohio State, a game they won comfortably, but they rolled 3 out pretty quickly in that game. So we'll see how the staff is used here today in this elimination game. 3-1 now to Lorenz.
At Ohio State game, they had a different pitcher throughout the first 3 innings of the game. As that ball catches the low outside part of the strike zone. That was a pitch that we didn't see called a whole lot yesterday, so already these hitters are having to change their mentality up at the plate to adjust to that pitch low and outside.
Robbie Guest, the home plate umpire here in our 4-person umpiring crew. 3-2. Lorenz pops it up. Just running out of room is Chelsea Segern. Segern, Leach, Parsons, and Morgan on the infield. Kaylee Phillips catching Rogers. There's Tim Walton trying to get this Florida team to the Women's College World Series for a 10th time and a 3rd time in a row. Lorenz, what else? Draws a walk. That's her 9th walk of the NCAA tournament.
And it's not like she's going up to the plate looking for those walks.
She's looking for something.
She's looking for something. She is looking into that dugout right there. But the key hitter in this Florida lineup, in my opinion, that needs to step up in today's elimination game is Kendall Lindemann. Now, she's gotten a couple of hits throughout the past couple of games, but she has left runners in scoring position when she has come up to bat. And Tennessee has really challenged her throughout the past 2 games. Throughout the season, we've seen teams walk Lindemann to get to whoever was in that 3 spot, but Tennessee going right after her and able to get herself out.
Lindemann's a team leader in home runs, but has not homered since April 13th. That one's hit hard, but foul. When she squares it up, you know it. It sounds different.
It goes a long way.
The exit velocity, I mean, she has hit some mammoth shots this year, and they have usually been very productive. When you take a look at the breakdown for her 14 home runs.
Well, I know it was just a foul ball, but she hit one on Friday that I don't think has landed yet to the left side.
It's up top, it's 2-1. Rogers started game 6 in Knoxville. That was a loss to North Carolina, 1-0. Went 6 in that game, gave up a run, 2 hits, struck out 8. Take something off that one, evening up the count at 2-2.
That's a good look at that changeup early in this game. Lindemann's a hitter that seems to get a heavy dose of changeup throughout her at-bats. And already we're seeing that early from Rogers.
(21-6) on the season for the freshman. 201 strikeouts. This has popped up, foul grounded out of play. Lindemann, the native of Iowa, who spent her first 2 years at Minnesota. First team all-conference selection in the SEC in her first year with Florida. Another 2-2. This one's popped up and playable for Sager. Route number 1.
Nice play by Sager over there at third base, knowing that there's a lot of foul ground territory down here in Gainesville. Runs over towards that camera well, gets there early, and then adjusts to where the fly ball is after that. Solid defensive play by Chelsea Sager.
Here's the number 3 hitter, Hannah Adams, the sophomore second baseman. Three for 5 last night with a double and a run batted in. Hacking at the first pitch, strike 1.
And not too many of the Florida Gators last night were able to square up the pitches that Kaylin Arnold was bringing in there. But the one that was Hannah Adams, squaring up balls left and right. There just didn't seem to be anything that they could get past her last night.
If you haven't been following the Florida Gators and their story this year, pitching and defense has led them to this point. Just 22 errors committed this year, a .987 fielding percentage. That's among the top teams in the country. They have not committed an error in the NCAA tournament, but the problem has been at the plate. After Lorenz and Lindemann, who's going to produce? Adams pops it up, and trouble here. It's going to drop in, and everyone's safe. Hannon was coming on, and it looked like the middle infielders thought she was calling for it, but her palms are outstretched, and it drops in, and 2 on with 1 out.
And right after we saw that solid defensive play by Chelsea Sager at third base, just like you said, Eric, a miscommunication in the middle of the field. You could see Hannon's arms outstretched, and it looked like she was calling for it, and that's why Aubrey Leach retreats back towards second base.
Really
but Lorenz with the good base running to be able to hang out there halfway in between first and second, and sees that ball drops and gets on over to second base.
Yeah, really a heads-up play by Lorenz, knowing that there was trouble brewing on that pop-up, so she got as close to second base as comfortably possible in case somebody made a diving catch and she can scramble back to first, but got into second to avoid the force. And now an early conversation in the circle as Ralph Weekly comes out. See Maddie Moss in the dugout, ready to go. She was the first option out of the bullpen on Friday. Kaylin Arnold was the only pitcher used Saturday, went the distance, giving up 7 hits in her 9-inning victory. There's Jamie Hoover. It is scored a base hit for Adams. Here's Hoover. We talked about the offense and how it's been a struggle for Florida. They really have not hit many home runs this year. Hoover has their only home run of the NCAA tournament.
And that home run was an absolute monster of a blast over the left field wall. She has so much power in her swing. And her stance isn't quite conventional. You can see her heels all the way back on that chalk line, allowing herself to extend through those pitches. And back in regional, she got a pitch on the inside half of the plate and just turned on it and about cleared the pitcher's lab out there in left field. You can see that back right heel is practically touching that back chalk line.
This was last Sunday against Boise State in the regional final for Florida.
And she just demolishes this pitch over the left field wall. That was an absolute no-doubter off her bat, and she knew it immediately.
Down to the count here, 1-2. Rogers leading the Lady Vols in so many categories this year, in appearances and starts and earned run average, strikeouts. Opponent's batting average of 183 coming in, an outstanding freshman year. Trying to deal with the emotion and the intensity of the postseason, and the changeup brings out a little emotion from the freshman. Down goes Hoover, 2 away.
And you don't see that emotion very often from Rogers in the circle, but she throws this changeup down in the zone and gets Hoover well out in front of it. A nice job by Phillips back there to block it up, make sure she gets it, and ensure the tag.
Maddie Moss is definitely the one in this pitching staff who wears her emotions on her sleeve. You have no doubt, but I think we've seen with Arnold and now just with Rogers kind of summing up that fight mentality that Tennessee has tried to instill on their team here. Worked last week in the elimination game against North Carolina, worked last night, and see if it works here today in Florida with a trip to Oklahoma City on the line.
Well, and they said with their backs up against the wall, the only way to fight is to come out throwing punches.
This is down for a base hit. Lorenz being waved around. She will score, and Florida takes a 1-0 lead. Sophia Reynoso with an RBI single.
How about that hit by Sophia Reynoso to get things going here for the Gators in the bottom of the first inning. She comes up in this at-bat and is aggressive, drives this ball into right center. Phenomenal bat angle on that one to drive it out there far enough to allow Lorenz to score easily, and the first run of the game is on the board.
Last night, Florida was playing catch-up during the night. Tennessee took an early 1-0 lead. Florida tied it. Tennessee went back on top 2-1. Florida tied it before Tennessee pulled out the win. Now it's Florida in front with Jordan Roberts taking strike 1. Now, last night, we had some interesting maneuvers on the base pass. A lot of delayed steals. Reynoso will just jog into second base. So second and third with 2 down for Florida. Both teams weren't afraid to try to take that extra base, try to make the other team make a decision. The biggest delayed steal was the delayed steal attempt of home late in the game. 0-2 to Roberts. Florida jumped out to the lead in game 1 on Friday. You can see this season 42 wins in the 46 times where they have scored first. You can tie that directly to Kelly Barnhill's mindset. She said it after the game Friday about just being a different pitcher when her team gives her a lead. So she has a 1-run lead here with a trip to OKC on the line.
And when we talked to them earlier in the week, they just said that everything has finally clicked for them. They've been working hard all year long, and now they're starting to see those rewards here in the postseason. Take Sophia Reynoso, perfect example, coming up clutch, able to score that first run for her team.
1-2, and it's a strikeout to end the inning. But Florida gets on the board. A leadoff walk to Lorenz, and then an RBI single for Sofia Reynoso, and the Gators facing elimination on top 1-0.
It is on again at a place where legends live.
You can't script it any better than this.
You're going to make a run in Oklahoma City. You've got to be super confident on the biggest stages.
This is a stage that every little girl that plays softball dreams for.
There is history to be made.
It is here. The week has begun. It all starts Thursday in Oklahoma City. This is the third of 8 super regionals to go to a Game 3. You see the 7 teams already with their tickets to Oklahoma City. Oklahoma State in Tallahassee knocked off Florida State to earn their first trip to the Women's College World Series since 2011. Alabama, back-to-back home runs from KB sides. Bailey Hemphill, they held off Texas in the 3-game series in Tuscaloosa, and now it's Florida and Tennessee in the third and final game of this Gainesville Super Regional. Haley Bearden, who had the game-winning RBI last night, leads off here for Tennessee in the second. Bearden goes the other way, and it's out of play, and it's 0-2. So, interestingly enough, Bearden has the last 2 walk-off RBI for the Tennessee Lady Vols. They did not have one this year until last night. It was the walk-off walk. She was walked with the bases loaded. She had the one prior to that last year against LSU. A little bit more pop to that one.
Yeah, that one went sailing over the right field wall, but that was also her first career home run.
Out of play.
Her first career home run in her junior year, and now here in her senior campaign, she has 14 home runs. Just an absolute explosion in power in the bat from Haley Bearden this year.
So the coaches say it's always been there. What's the difference this year for it to come out and help Tennessee get to this point right now?
Well, for Bearden, it's been her mental approach to her at-bats. Throughout her first 3 seasons, she was trying too hard to get things done and thinking too much about what she wanted to swing at or what not to swing at. This year, she has just freed herself up. She has gone up there not thinking, more of a see-ball, hit-ball mentality, and that is what's led to her success up at the plate this year.
Senior from Clarksville, Tennessee, 6 for 19 in the NCAA tournament with 4 runs batted in. Was 1 for 3 with a couple of walks, including that walk that brought in the winning run last night. Tennessee was the home team last night in Game 2 of the 3-game series, so that's why they were able to get a walk-off away from Knoxville. Look who's down in the bullpen, getting ready here. Ashley Rogers getting the start. Kaylin Arnold, who threw a career-high 177 pitches and getting the win last night, getting loose. Bearden checked her swing. It's 1-2. I think the bullpens are just going to be active all day long here. Chronister and Lugo, who got into the game last night, they both did. Now working in the Florida pen. Count evens up.
In elimination games, it is all hands on deck. You have all your pitchers ready to go at any given moment. And that goes for pinch hitters in the dugout as well. You've got to be ready to perform at any moment during the game.
As we saw last night as Tennessee went to pinch hitters. Called strike 3. Kelly Barnhill gets the strikeout on her 300th pitch of this Super Regional. 1 down.
Well, her second strikeout of the day is one looking on Bearden. This low rise ball right at the knees. Again, a pitch that we didn't see called a whole lot in yesterday's game, but Kelly Barnhill is taking advantage of that call early.
Now with 344 strikeouts this season, 1,194 in her Florida career, the all-time leader in that category. Ball 1 to Ashley Morgan, the first baseman, who was 1 for 4 against Barnhill last night. Tennessee with 43 wins on the season. They were 14-10 in conference play, good for a second-place tie. This is a fly ball to Hoover right on the foul line. 2 down. The Women's College World Series back in Oklahoma City starting Thursday, noon Eastern. You can see it live, of course, on ESPN. And for more information on the 2019 Women's College World Series, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. Madison Shipman will be there, part of the coverage in Oklahoma City. Will it be Tennessee or Florida from the SEC? Heading out to the Women's College World Series. Alabama with the win over Texas, earning a spot for the SEC. As all 13 teams made it into the NCAA tournament this year. We'll have 2 of the 8 at the Women's College World Series. 1-1 to Kaylin Hannon. Popped up, Reynoso calls for it right away, and she's got it. And it's a 1-2-3 inning again for Kelly Barnhill. 6 up, 6 down for the senior from Marietta, Georgia. 1-0 after 1.5. And this is the last of the Super Regionals. Gainesville, Florida. 7 other Super Regionals all set. Minnesota hosting a Supers for the first time. They're making their first ever trip to the Women's College World Series after besting LSU. Oklahoma winning a couple of shutouts against Northwestern, their 4th straight trip to the Women's College World Series. And UCLA, which needed to win an elimination game against Missouri to get to the Super Regional round, took care of James Madison in Los Angeles.
Well, and of course, UCLA is really just a powerhouse this year.
Jade Caraway swings at the first pitch. Back to Rogers on the first one down.
But the team that I've been so impressed with is Minnesota. How about that? Your first Women's College World Series appearance. And great performances by Amber Pfizer in the circle and getting her backup from her hitters, Natalie Den Hartog, Allie Arneson, even Maddie Houlihan with a nice home run this weekend.
Minnesota with an outstanding season, of course, and it started with what they did with their non-conference schedule. They were here in a non-conference game against Florida. It actually closed out a very challenging part of their spring break. And Kendall Lindemann went head-to-head against her former team, hit a 2-run home run, but that was it. It was a 2-0 final, Florida over Minnesota, but they played such a tough schedule. We were very impressed watching Amber Pfizer and Natalie Den Hartog and that Minnesota team, so I'm sure they'll be extra excited to represent the Golden Gophers' first ever team in their program history to go on to Oklahoma City.
Well, Minnesota played Tennessee earlier in the year as well. They just stacked up their schedule. They played Alabama, they played Texas. Playing all these top teams early in the year prepared them for the postseason.
1-1 to Hannah Sipos. Takes a strike. It's been a struggle at the plate all season long for the freshman Sipos, sitting at 171. But as Tim Walton points out, if you're going to hit a $170, you're going to have to do something to stay in the lineup, and it's her glove and her play at third base that has kept her in the lineup every day for Florida. Goes fishing, doesn't get it, 2 down. That's 3 strikeouts now for Ashley Rogers.
The last 2 strikeouts have been on changeups. This one, she goes with the rise ball well out of the zone, gets Hannah Sipos to chase it. That one right at her eyeballs, and records her 3rd strikeout of the day.
I'll bring up Alex Voss, who's had a good NCAA tournament, 4 for 14, 1 for 4 last night. Just put the ball in play, played a solid center field. Senior at 234 on the season. Down to the count 0-2. Another impressive performance by Washington in the NCAA tournament. A couple of shutout wins over Kentucky. Very good, strong Kentucky team. But Washington's been running through their opponents, outscoring everybody 24-1 so far and returning to Oklahoma City.
Well, and I know you like the runs, but how about Sis Bates at shortstop? She is just a human highlight reel.
I'm all about the defense.
I'm turning you over to the dark side. Now you're paying attention to all the
Wait a minute, were you an offensive-minded shortstop who happened to play defense, or a really good defensive shortstop who happened to hit pretty well?
Let's just say I hit my stride hitting-wise in my senior year.
Well, better late than never. This is up the middle, and it skips by the second baseman, Parsons. Looks like it jumped up on her a little bit. They're going to score it a hit, so Alex Voss is on base again.
And Voss has hit the ball solid all weekend long. Goes after this pitch, and like you said, it takes an interesting hop. But it looked like Caitlin Parsons had enough time to turn her feet and try to get in front of that ball. But Voss able to hit it hard enough to get it right by the backhand of Caitlin Parsons for her first hit.
That's a third hit for the Gators. It comes with 2 down, but it turns the lineup over to Amanda Lorenz. Take strike 1.
And before the game, we were talking about how important that 9 spot is to be able to turn it over to Lorenz and Lindemann with runners on the base paths, because these are the 2 hitters that you do not want up if you're Tennessee with runners on.
Lorenz walked and scored in the first. Swung on, and a fly ball to the left fielder, Jenna Holcomb. Puts it away to retire the side. We have played 2 here at Presley Stadium in Gators. Let's take a look at the half of the bracket of the Women's College World Series that impacts the winner of this series. It's presented by Capital One. Winner here today will take on Oklahoma State. Thursday, 7 o'clock Eastern time in Oklahoma City. Oklahoma and Alabama also on that part of the bracket. And the added twist is if Florida were to win here today, that means Tim Walton would go head-to-head with his former assistant, Kenny Gajewski. That's tapped right over the bag, and it's a fair ball down the line. Leading things off here in the top half of the third inning, Caitlin Parsons with a base hit. First of the game for the Lady Vols.
Well, this is a great way to get the inning started. Caitlin Parsons just smacking this ball right into the ground, noticing that Hannah Sipos was playing well up that third baseline, able to get enough air underneath it to lift it right on over her head to lead off this inning.
So the freshman who came in hitting .330 on the season comes up with a leadoff single, first base runner of the afternoon for Tennessee. Here's Kaylee Phillips. That gets away from Jordan Roberts, and moving on to second is Parsons.
And Tennessee looking to take advantage of whatever they can. That ball skips away from Roberts, and immediately Parsons heads on over to second, and now they've got a runner into scoring position with no outs.
I was going to say, after back-to-back 1, 2, 3 innings, it looks in the early going like the opportunities against Barnhill are going to be few and far between, but here's one right here.
And I know that Barnhill throws hard, but if you're Roberts, you've got to try to turn that glove over to make sure that that ball stays in front, because you know how aggressive Tennessee has been on the base paths all weekend long.
It has been a challenge for Tennessee to try to sacrifice runners over here. This is an outstanding defense on the infield for Florida. Everyone knows where they have to be, and they get there quickly. So the bunt has to be perfect for Phillips. It's not. Popped up, one away.
And that's the second time this weekend that Kaylee Phillips has had an opportunity to lay down a sacrifice bunt. The first one went right to Hannah Sipos, and she was able to get the lead runner at third. This one's a rise ball right about chest high, and she gets underneath it. And a great job by Jordan Roberts to immediately pop out of that catcher's squat and catch it to secure out number 1.
That rise ball has to be so hard to try to bunt.
And if you're in the sack bunt situation, you know that Barnhill's going to try to throw you a rise ball. So you need to overemphasize trying to get on top of the ball. So it should be no surprise that you're seeing that pitch with so much upspin in that situation.
Jenna Holcomb takes strike 1. Holcomb, the junior left fielder, .336 on the season, 0 for 4 last night. Oh, and 2. We had a long list of interesting moments last night, but one was when Tim Walton brought in an outfielder to have 5 infielders when Holcomb was at the plate. Holcomb swinging a miss. Strikeout number 3 for Barnhill. 2 down.
Well, you definitely don't need those 5 infielders when Kelly Barnhill's going to do this. This rise ball on the outside half of the plate just blows it right by Jenna Holcomb for her 3rd strikeout of the day.
Here's Leach, struck out her first time, but she is 4 for 9 against Barnhill this weekend. Leach riding an 11-game hitting streak. Here's the 1-0.
And one of the things that makes Aubrey Leach such a tough out is you'll notice that after every single pitch, she has her eyes up and she is reading the defense, trying to see where they're playing her. Right now, the defense is definitely playing in to try to defend that slap, but she has the ability to hit away at any moment.
And the count 3-0. Barnhill came in today throwing 15 1/3 innings against Tennessee in the Super Regional. 12 hits, 3 runs, 7 walks, 15 strikeouts. Gets away, the runner will take 3rd. Got to keep an eye on Leach. She's just going to head right to second base. The walk, it got away from the catcher, and Leach left no doubt she was going to end up at second base. So 2nd and 3rd with 2 down.
And that's almost the same exact pitch that Caitlin Parsons was able to advance to 2nd on earlier in this inning. That's one of those pitches that if you're Jordan Roberts, you've got to turn your glove around the other way. And just heads up base running by Aubrey Leach to immediately take off out of the box and advance all the way to second base to get another runner into scoring position for Amanda Ayala.
Ayala flied out to left her first time. She takes strike 1. This Florida staff has allowed just 1 extra base hit in the NCAA tournament, and that was to the batter right now, Ayala, who did it against Barnhill last night. Nothing Gators. Tennessee threatening here in the 3rd. Ayala with a fly ball. Boss calls for it in center field. Thread over. Barnhill gets the fly out to end it. 1-0 Florida after 2.5. So far, the guest lists include these powerhouse teams, and we'll continue to add teams to this list as we continue along this week and next at the Women's College World Series.
I think it's really rare that you find a tournament that has a real, true postseason feel in February, but that's exactly what this tournament has. It was so exciting to be able to be there as a fan this year and really take it all in.
Kendall Lindemann to lead things off for Florida here in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Lindemann, Adams, and Hoover for the Gators on top 1-0. Thanks to a Sofia Reynoso RBI single in the 1st that scored Amanda Lorenz. Lindemann fouled the 3rd, her first time. 2-0. A Tennessee win, and they head to the Women's College World Series for the 8th time in school history and their first time since 2015. Florida trying to make it to Oklahoma City for the 3rd year in a row and 10th time overall. Lindemann pops it up on the infield. Sagern calls for it. 1 away. Tennessee, after last night, Karen Weekly, their co-head coach, said about the game plan that they needed to be more aggressive, take chances. They thought they were giving themselves opportunities. They didn't fight enough on Friday, but they did on Saturday. They're going to have to fight back from a one-run deficit here today to keep their season going.
Yeah, we really saw a completely different Tennessee team yesterday than we saw on Friday. On Friday, it almost looked like they were trying to wait to see when Florida was going to make a mistake and then be able to capitalize on it, whereas yesterday they came right out the gates. Aubrey Leach starts off the game with a base hit, and then she immediately takes second base on the delayed steal, and I think that set the tone for the Tennessee lineup for the rest of the day.
Hannah Adams singled her first time up. She sends one deep to right field and off the wall. Adams digging for second with a one-out double.
Hannah Adams just continues to be so hot in this three spot in this lineup. She takes this rise ball right about at the letters and drives this out into the right center wall. Just past the glove of Haley Bearden out there in right field, but she's able to get a runner into scoring position for Jamie Hoover.
Two for two for Hannah Adams, and here is Hoover. Take strike one. Hoover struck out in the first. Hannah Adams now 9 for 19 in the NCAA tournament. Oh, and 2. How about Hannah Adams over the last 11 games, Madison? 15 for 34. That's a .441 average. I think she has solidified that number 3 spot in the lineup. She's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I definitely think so. She moved up into that spot during the SEC tournament and has just exploded ever since.
Hoover can't get it. Strikeout for Ashley Rogers. It's her 4th, 2 down.
And if you're Rogers, that's exactly the way you want to come back after giving up that double to Adams. This is Hoover's 2nd strikeout on the day, and both of which are on changeups. She's just well out in front of this pitch, down in the zone, and gets a huge out number 2 for the Lady Vols.
Sophia Reynoso singled in a run in the first. Ball 1. Called strike, 1-1.
Sophia Reynoso was part of one of the several interesting plays that we saw in yesterday's game.
Which one on my checklist is that one? I got a list of about
there was
50 long.
There was a long list, but she thought it was strike 3. It was strike 2.
Hard grounder to short. Leach across the first in the long stretch by Ashley Morgan. That is her trademark, and it pays off to retire the side.
Well, how about this defense by the Lady Volunteers? Aubrey Leach having to go into the 5-6 hole, grabs it, throws it over to Ashley Morgan with the stretch to end the inning.
Florida on top 1-0. We're joined now by Florida head coach Tim Walton. We weren't so sure, Tim, but did you have any doubts at all that Kelly Barnhill would start for you today?
No, I actually did. I checked on her last night, checked on her today, see how she felt, and we made a game time decision. I mean, if you ask a player of her stature, what you want the ball or not, she's going to tell you yeah every time. So you just got to do what's right, and she felt great. So here we are.
And Sophia Reynoso, you've said that she's the rock for you guys both defensively and offensively. How huge was her hit in the first inning?
That was really nice hit. Did a good job, good piece of hitting. She's our heartbeat. She's the pulse of our team. She controls everything. The fun, the intensity, the attention to detail on defense. She really does a great job.
Thanks, Tim. We appreciate it. Florida head coach Tim Walton, his 14th year here in Gainesville, his 16th year overall. The SEC tournament champions. What a year it's been for Reynoso and the entire Florida team. When you think back, They lost the series to Tennessee to start SEC play. Tennessee came here to Gainesville, took 2 out of 3. In fact, the first SEC series that Florida won this year wasn't until their 4th series of the season when they swept Arkansas. That's how up and down, and in Florida's eyes, mostly down things were in the first half to the early part of the second half of the season.
Now, when we talked to Amanda Lorenz and Kelly Barnhill earlier this week, they said they weren't used to losing, and they had to figure out what to do because the standard at Florida has been to win year in and year out. And they had to make adjustments, had to try to do something different. And finally, it is all clicking for them here in the postseason.
Leading off for Tennessee here in the top half of the 4th inning is junior Chelsea Segern. Popped out to second, back in the 1st. 7 hits in the NCAA tournament for the junior from Thrall, Texas. Reliable sources tell me that at the SEC tournament that just about the entire town of Thrall was there and they had a cookout at College Station, and you were invited, or were you looking for your invitation?
I was invited, but there was a bit of a tornado warning situation, so I was hunkered down in the stadium. But
depending on which census you look at, Thrall's got anywhere between 800 and 900 people, and it sounds like they were all there to support Chelsea and the Lady Vols in College Station.
Yes, and they brought a little food with them, some barbecue, good old Texas barbecue. Coach Karen Weekly said she got a little bit of everything from that.
3-1 the count to Chelsea Segern.
I mean, I don't know about you, but if mac and cheese is put in front of me, I can't say no. I might even go back for 2 helpings.
Sounds like they brought enough for you to have 3 helpings. Popped up, Sipos comes storming in, they call it for out number 1. Tonight, the Sunday Night Baseball crew is in St. Louis for the series finale between the Braves and the Cardinals. Cards scored 4 in the 8th to win on Saturday. Rubber game of the series is tonight, and our coverage begins at 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app with Baseball Tonight Sunday Night Countdown. Here's Haley Bearden, who can tie it up with 1 swing of the bat. Big rip, fouls it off for strike 1. This is the 6th time a Tennessee team has played a Game 3 in the Super Regional round. They are 4-1 all-time in Game 3s. Florida 3-1 all-time in Game 3s at the Supers. Most recently last year when they had the walk-off win in Game 3 here against Texas A&M.
And down to their very last strike in that game.
0-2 to Bearden. Tried to check it. The appeal says she did. According to third base umpire Danny Bowman.
Let's take a look at the side view of her swing to see if she held up. Ooh. That one might have been a swing. Bearden might have gotten away with one there.
Can't get away from that one, though. Barnhill gets the strikeout. Her 4th, 2 down.
No doubt about this one. Look at where this ball drops off the table. That's a good look at that 2-seam fastball. And she's going to get swings at it because she throws that low rise ball right at the knees. But the difference is that one drops down in the zone. The low rise stays right at the knees. You could tell Haley Bearden very unsure on that swing, and another strikeout for Kelly Barnhill.
Now facing Ashley Morgan. I half expected to hear an answer from Tim Walton when we asked him about the status of Barnhill, saying, of course, she's Kelly Barnhill. She's going to get it. He did tell us earlier this season that she is one player that they trust, that if she's going to be truthful with them, she can kind of dictate, well, you know, this is how I feel. This is what the training should be right now. I mean, she has that status of working with the staff in that way because they trust her so much, but he had to do some reconnaissance last night and this morning to make sure he can write her name into the lineup.
And I think a lot of that comes down to the communication and how Kelly Barnhill knows her own body and knows her arm and knows what she can take.
Morgan to shallow left, but Jade Caraway comes on to grab it for the final out. We will talk to Tennessee head coach Karen Weekly when we come back to Gainesville. Florida on top 1-0 as we head to the home half of the fourth inning, joined now by Karen Weekly. I want to start with last night and what you liked about your team's approach, because I'm going to assume that your answer will apply to what you want to see going forward today, Karen.
Liked our fight. I just loved it. We came out and we played aggressive. We took risks. We didn't worry about the results. We just got after it.
And we're seeing that aggressiveness already with your at-bats today as well. But what sort of adjustments are you looking for your hitters to make to get on top of Kelly Barnhill?
Well, even though we were aggressive yesterday, I felt like we stayed in the zone well. And today I think we're chasing. And I just asked them, are you seeing something different out of her that's making you guys take those take those swings, or is it just us? And they said, we're not seeing anything different. So I think we just need to calm down. We allow a run there in the first inning. It's in the book as an earned run, but, it's an unearned run. I mean, we need to catch a pop fly. Otherwise, we've got a 0-0 game, and I think we're just pressing a little bit right now. We just need to relax and control our barrels better.
Thanks, Karen. And tell Ralph not to photobomb you.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So after giving up a run in the first inning, Ashley Rogers has settled down. She gave up a single in the second and a double in the third, but no more runs since then. Strike one to Jordan Roberts, who struck out in the first.
And I think we're already seeing an adjustment by Ashley Rogers in the circle, really upping the amount of changeups that she's throwing. We didn't see as many of them in the first inning, but these last few innings seeing a heavy, heavy dose of them to get ahead of these batters.
0-2 to Roberts. Roberts, Caraway, and Sipos.
I think you can tell that it's in the mind of Jordan Roberts up at the plate. A little late on those rise balls that she's taken hacks at. In an 0-2 count, as a hitter, you know that Ashley Rogers has been able to throw those pitches for strikes. You've got to adjust your two-strike approach.
Swing and a miss. Throw down the first for the putout, one down. Second time that Roberts has struck out today. She struck out twice last night.
And right on cue, there's another changeup down in the dirt by Ashley Rogers to get Roberts to strike out, like you said, for the second time on the day.
They'll bring up Jade Caraway, who grounded back to the pitcher in the second inning. 1-0 Florida. New right fielder for Tennessee as Treasury Poindexter is out there in place of Haley Bearden. Caraway 0 for 4 with a run scored last night. 2 hits, 3 runs batted in the NCAA tournament. Two.
And it almost looks like Rogers might have upped her velocity a little bit. Both of the batters that we've seen so far this inning have been very late on those rise balls up in the zone.
Caraway laid off. It's 1-2. Well, Rogers was in trouble in the first inning. Walked Lorenz. Adams singled. Reynoso singled in Lorenz, but the strikeout of Roberts ended that threat. A base runner in the second, a base runner in the third, as she has settled in here in this elimination game. That's how to play. And now they're going to call Caraway out for being outside of the batter's box.
And even though that ball was foul, as soon as you make contact with your foot outside of the batter's box, that's when they're going to call you out. And you could see right there that almost half of her foot was outside of that chalk line. Yep, right there. That left foot. As soon as even the tip of your foot leaves the chalk line, you are going to be called out.
And that's a call we've seen all year, called by the home plate umpire in a 3-umpire system, but we're playing with 4 umpires here in the NCAA tournament. And the second base umpire, Don Brown, crew chief, had his arm up on that swing. So Caraway is out. 2 down for Hannah Sipos.
And now that is the first time this entire weekend that we have seen it called. Got a couple of slappers in Florida's lineup and a ton of slappers in Tennessee's lineup.
Sipos down 0-2 as Rogers. You can sense the confidence building with the freshman.
And right now she doesn't even have to bring the ball in the zone because these Florida batters are being very aggressive at those rise balls up and out of the zone. And here in an 0-2 count, if you're Rogers, I wouldn't bring it anywhere close.
Out of play. Sipos struck out in the second. 5 strikeouts now for freshman Ashley Rogers, making her 39th appearance, her 30th start of the season. That one's well outside, and it's 1-2. Crushed foul.
That was that first pitch this entire at-bat that we've seen Rogers bring the ball down in the zone, and Hannah Sipos is all over it. Threw a ball well outside and up in the zone. Got a couple of swings and misses early in this at-bat. But Sipos just ready to attack on anything that's right around thigh high.
Another 1-2. There's the changeup. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Ashley Rogers, 6 in the game.
Rogers just pulling the string on this one, knowing these Gators are being aggressive. Getting her 6th strikeout on the day as we head to the top of the 5th. Florida going with their ace, Kelly Barnhill, in the circle in this elimination game today, and she has been moving the ball all throughout the zone, taking advantage of how aggressive these Tennessee batters have been throughout the past couple of days, utilizing that 2-seam there on the strikeout for Bearden, and she's got 4 on the day.
4 innings pitched, just the 1 hit. And that was the leadoff single to Parsons in the 3rd inning. She's retired 4 in a row as she gets set to work here to Hannon, Parsons, and Phillips in the top half of the 5th inning. And it popped out to Reynoso at short, her first time. We'll see what the plate approach is here for Tennessee. You heard in our conversation with Karen Weekly just a few minutes ago, she loved the discipline Saturday night. Not a big fan of what she's seeing from her hitters here today against Kelly Barnhill.
I think I'm going to call it selfishly aggressive is what Coach Karen Weekly is looking for. You want to be aggressive on pitches that are in the zone.
That's bloop to left. Caraway can't get there, and foul ground, 1-1.
But you don't want to be too out of control aggressive to where you're swinging at those pitches out of the zone by Kelly Barnhill, because you know with a senior pitcher in the circle that she is going to eat you up all day on that rise ball out of the zone if you keep on swinging at it. So that's the kind of adjustment that I would expect to see from these Tennessee Volunteers as we go throughout the rest of this game.
It's one of the big keys last night that Weekly talked about, saying that they hadn't changed a lot of pitches last night or even Friday for that matter, and really used that at-bat by Haley Bearden with the bases loaded in the bottom half of the 9th inning, where she worked the walk. Wasn't too aggressive, took the walk, and walked off a winner.
Yeah, and like you said, she said that their discipline on Friday was pretty good as well, but they were just too passive on the pitches that she was bringing into the zone. And finally, yesterday in Saturday's game, they put both of those things together, and that's what they're needing to do here today.
Tap to Reynoso. waits, throws, one away. Reynoso just so smooth at shortstop to get the first out.
She makes this play look easy, but it is not. You have to be able to read that ball, come up, get it on the mid-hop, and get rid of it in a hurry. And you gotta love the stretch by Amanda Lorenz over at first base, making sure that she's doing all she can for her defense to get that out.
They'll bring up Parsons. Parsons has the only hit against Kelly Barnhill this afternoon. She was left stranded at third in the third. Parsons was at third, Leach was at second, when Ayala flied out to center to end the threat in the third. Winner-take-all matchup here in Gainesville. The final spot in the Women's College World Series on the line. Two and one the count to the freshman second baseman. Up the middle and into center field for the second hit of the day for Tennessee and for Parsons. It comes with one down. Tonight, Sports Center after Braves Cardinals with Anderson and Bucci inside Justin Verlander's fantastic season, off to an 8-1 start. His Astros taking on the Red Sox today, trying to sweep the Sox. Plus, the Baseball Tonight crew breaks down why there have been so many impactful rookies called up already this season. And SC Feature tells the story of a retired Marine accomplishing a feat thanks to the inspiration of three fallen friends. It's on Sports Center, 10 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. Kaylee Phillips takes ball one.
And I know we talked about those delayed steals that we saw yesterday from Tennessee, and now that they've got a speedy runner on first base in Caitlin Parsons, you got to wonder if they're going to try that again here in the top of the fifth when they know they need to get something going.
Roberts walks out in front of the plate, keeping an eye on the base runner Parsons. Now she'll call time. 2-0 the count to Kaylee Phillips.
And again, we saw this yesterday, Tennessee trying to take advantage of whatever they could. And it was really Sophia Reynoso who took charge of the defense to make sure that everybody was in position to properly defend those kinds of plays. And again, Tennessee being down by run, top of the fifth, going up against one of the best pitchers in the nation, and Kelly Barnhill, they've got to do whatever they can to move runners on over into scoring position. Showing off that aggressiveness with that speed already.
One final message from Karen Weekly to Parsons before she jogged back over to first base. 2-0 the count to Phillips. Line shot just wide of third. Hit hard by the freshman catcher.
And if you're Tennessee, these are the kinds of opportunities that you have to take advantage of. We heard Coach Weekly talking about how it doesn't go down as an unearned run, but that was a ball that should have been caught back in the first inning, and Florida was able to take advantage of those runners that Tennessee got on there.
Tennessee dugout trying to get Phillips going at the plate. And they're going to just throw down to second base. We saw this last night too, where Roberts would throw to Lorenz at first. So they are very wary of Parsons. Three and one to count. We saw Phillips take a big cut at the 2-0. What can she do with the 3-1? Rip to Reynoso, to second for one. Adams to first, double play.
Sophia Reynoso is just so good at shortstop. Gets this ball, gets rid of it, gets it over to Hannah Adams, and we've got ourselves a 6-4-3 double play to end the inning.
Temps pushing 100 degrees, just shy of the century mark. Just one run on the board so far. Florida scoring in the first inning. Lorenz walked. She was singled home by Sophia Reynoso. Chance here for Florida in the bottom half of the fifth inning. Voss, Lorenz, and Lindemann, 9-1-2 against Ashley Rogers. Voss has been a good hitter here in the postseason. She has a hit here today against Rogers. She's 1 for 1. Oh, and 2.
These fans are not liking those past 2 calls on Alex Voss. And to me, they both look like strikes in the zone, but I think the first one threw him off because it looked like Rogers missed her spot and crossed up Kaylee Phillips up a little bit behind the plate.
Tapped out to Rogers on the first one down.
Tough play by Rogers with so much speed from Voss up at the plate, but she's able to get that thing over there to get out number 1.
7 of the 8 tickets to the Women's College World Series have been claimed. The winner of this game will take that final spot in Oklahoma City. Game 3 of the Gainesville Super Regional. Florida won game 1. Tennessee in 9 innings, a game that took 3 hours and 52 minutes, won game 2. Florida leads 1-0 in game 3, and Amanda Lorenz steps in. She has the game's only run. Walked and scored in the first, flied out to left in the second. It is on her mind that this is her final game here in the stadium. We talked to her about it before the start of the Super Regional. Amanda said she had thought about it a lot, that she was sad about it, but happy that they had a chance to make one final great memory here in Gainesville.
And I think there was a bit of satisfaction knowing that they did everything they could to stay in Gainesville for as long as possible throughout this season.
Popped up foul ground. Moving over is Sagern, who can't get it. 2-1. Her remarkable career here at Florida. Career .406 hitter. At on-base percentage, 549. In her career in the NCAA tournament, a .435 hitter.
I'm still blown away that she's able to put up those kinds of numbers, and she goes up to the plate with 0 game plan. She just adjusts based off of what she sees throughout that at-bat.
Well, to have an eye like that and hands that quick, she can do that.
And to be able to hit pitches off the plate, too. She's a bad ball hitter. That is not easy to be able to adjust your swing mid-pitch.
Well, you saw that. You had the front row seat in College Station in the SEC Tournament Championship game. Florida was down 1-0 to Alabama, and Lorenz reached out, sent a shot down the left field line, and Florida had a win. Fly ball to left. Holcomb has it, 2 down.
And after she got that hit, I asked her, did you realize how far off the plate that ball was? And she said, no, I know it was outside though. And I said, yeah, just a little bit, or maybe by 8 inches or so.
But she did tell you she made good contact. It wasn't just this little blooper, little flash. She goes, no, I got that pretty good.
She said, I got that on the sweet spot of the barrel.
Rogers has got her last 2 at-bats. And here is Kendall Lindemann, who's 0 for 2. Starts her off with strike 1.
And throughout this game, I think Lindemann's going to have to adjust to be able to hit that changeup already in this at-bat. Ashley Rogers getting ahead with that first pitch change. Throwing a ton of them to Lindemann. And at some point, you've got to make an adjustment. You've got to do something.
What is the adjustment that you would make?
If I'm Lindemann, I'm going up there sitting that changeup, looking for it, because you know she's seen at least 1 per at-bat, and they've been strikes.
Lindemann hits it well to left center field, but a good jump for the left fielder, Holcomb. She's a very good defensive outfielder. All SEC defensive team member, puts it away. A 1-2-3 inning for Rogers, still 1-0. We've had a lot of fun here in Gainesville. We thank everybody for being great hosts. We thank him for entertaining us during this half inning.
The cameras are always rolling.
And especially we thank our camera crew and our technicians who have been out in this hot sun. As I mentioned, 98 degrees at first pitch. We've had a warm weekend here in Gainesville. But as we like to say, it's the only game in town right now when it comes to college softball. Time is being called at the plate. And they're going to call her out for being out of the box. One away as Holcomb is retired.
Holcomb getting called out really twice on that bunt. Can see her foot over that chalk line as she lays down the ball. But how about this play by Hannah Sipos? I know it doesn't count, but man, the bare hand to come up on the run and be able to throw that ball over to first, that is not an easy play.
Back to the top of the order. Strike one to Aubrey Leach, who walked in the third, struck out in the first. She was 4 for 8 in the first 2 games of the Super Regional. 10 for 16 in the NCAA tournament entering today's game. 1-1. Kelly Barnhill making her 6th start of the NCAA tournament. 3-1, a .70 earned run average coming in. It's on its way down right now. One and two. Pitching today after throwing 158 pitches last night, 280 pitches total this weekend, and this next pitch will bring her total to 350.
This at bat, she's really just bringing the heat to Aubrey Leach, blowing it right by her with those 2-seam fastballs low in the zone, something we haven't seen a whole lot this weekend, but now as this game gets later and later, she's starting to bust out that pitch more often.
Count runs full with 1 down here in the 6th, and Florida on top by a run. Tap back to Barnhill. She'll throw it underhand, but not in time. Just not enough on that throw over to first. So Leach is on safely with 1 down.
And that is a dangerous hitter to be on first base. Kelly Barnhill comes up and gets this one in a hurry and then tosses it on over to first base. But because she tosses it, it doesn't have enough juice on it to be able to beat out Aubrey Leach. And if you're Florida, that's the exact base runner that you do not want on base. So much speed, so aggressive, and she will take advantage of anything you give her.
20 of 21 on the season when it comes to stolen bases. It's strike one to Ayala, who's over 2, a couple of flyouts. Roberts throws it over to the second baseman, Adams. Tennessee took advantage of Florida yesterday, 3 delayed steals. Oh, 2.
And you can just feel it in that Tennessee dugout with Aubrey Leach getting on base. After Barnhill flipping that ball over to first base, you can feel how pumped up they're starting to get over there.
Trying to tie things up here with Ayala at the plate. Down the count, 0-2.
And that just seems to be the new strategy, is Roberts is just throwing it right on down to Hannah Adams, with Sophia Reynoso covering second base to ensure that Aubrey Leach does not try to delay steal to advance to second base.
1-2. And she's hit by the pitch, according to the home plate umpire, although Ayala was the first one to let everybody know that she had been hit. She's awarded first and second with one down.
And you've got to wonder, after that hit by pitch, is Kelly Barnhill starting to get rattled by all those delayed steal attempts by these Tennessee batters, and even Aubrey Leach getting on base. That one looks like it barely nicked her. Let's take another look. Let's see where it gets Ayala. And it looks right there, right off the edge of her right hand. You can see that ball change directions right at the last minute.
Well, Ralph Weekly has come out. Trying to see if Tennessee is making a change here after Florida was talking in the circle. It's Chelsea Sagerin at the plate. I think they're going to re-enter Haley Bearden, who is on deck. Poindexter had gone out to right field, so Bearden will hit next. There's ball one. Tennessee 0 for 3 today with runners in scoring position, 3 for 21 in the Super Regional. Sagerin thought about the bunt. They're trying to steal. Sipos puts down the tag. The throw by Roberts, 2 down.
We've seen several risky plays by this Tennessee offense. And there's another one. Aubrey Leach taken off on this pitch after the fake bunt by Chelsea Sagerin. But with a left-handed hitter up at the plate, that allows Jordan Roberts to make an easier throw down to third. But let's take a look to see if Aubrey Leach was able to avoid the tag. It's hard to tell from that angle if she was able to get that left hand into the base.
It looks like Sipos got the tag on the knee before that left hand got down, because the right hand was well away from the base. Look as she tries to swim around and grab, but the knee gets tagged there before the left hand gets down. Great look in the replay.
That was a fantastic angle right there.
2-1 now to Sagerin.
We saw them last night try to get the walk-off win in the bottom of the 7th by attempting to steal home. And they're trying to steal third with a left-handed batter up at the plate. Jordan Roberts has a clear view of the field because there's no righty up there.
Ayala stole second on the play. It's 2-2 now, so there is still a runner in scoring position here for Sagerin, who popped out to second in the first, popped out to third in the fourth. After a 3-for-4 night last night against Barnhill, count now even at 2-2, and the fans here at Presley Stadium start to get a little louder. Starting to get into it, chanting Kelly Barnhill after getting ahead on Chelsea Sagerin. Sagerin fouling off a couple of pitches to stay alive in this at-bat. The senior from Marietta, Georgia, ready for the 2-2. Got her!
The freshman looking like a completely different pitcher than we saw on Friday. Her balls are moving through the zone, throwing rise balls, and of course, pulling the string on those changeups to get these Florida batters well out in front.
You can see the breakdown in the strikes thrown. 13 swing and miss strikes for Ashley Rogers. By comparison, Barnhill entering that last half inning had 2. So Rogers has found her rhythm as we've gone along here, but that leadoff walk to Lorenz was costly. Lorenz scored in the first inning on an RBI single with 2 down by Sophia Reynoso, and that has been a theme for Florida going back to the start of NCAA tournament play, coming up with 2 out hits, and Reynoso has the 2 out RBI. Adams, Hoover, and Reynoso here for Florida as they look for some insurance in the home half of the 6th inning. Another good game for Hannah Adams after struggling on Friday night. 2 for 2 here today. She was 3 for 5 last night with a double and an RBI. After the game last night, Adams was asked what was different Saturday, and she said just overall her mindset has been better over these last few weeks. You know, you can have an 0 for 4 game. If you're going to think about that 0 for 4 game, you're likely going to have an 0 for 4 game the next night. So you've got to leave it behind, and she says she's doing a much better job of leaving things behind, and she has sent this one to left field where it hangs up for Holcomb. 1 down.
Well, in the past couple of games, she's made some really loud outs, too, getting the ball right on the barrel. That one, she's just missing it, hitting it deep out to left field. But even those kind of outs are outs that give you confidence, and confidence is so important when it comes to this postseason. When you're facing such good competition, you've got to believe that you can win up there at the plate.
Jamie Hoover has struck out twice against Ashley Rogers. Hoover and Jordan Roberts have really struggled to make contact today against the freshman pitcher.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the dose of changeups that they're getting. And Ashley Rogers has been able to get ahead early in the count, and that has allowed her to throw that changeup out of the zone in 2 strike counts to get them swinging well out in front. Right there, you can see Jamie Hoover going for the bunt for a base hit attempt, just trying to do something different, put the ball in play, because she has struck out twice on changeups today.
6 strikeouts total for Rogers, 2 to Hoover, 2 to Roberts, 2 to Sipos. Oh, 2. Called strike 3, 2 down.
How about this curveball on the outside half of the plate, knowing that Jamie Hoover stands so far back in the box. This one just clips the low and outside corner and gets Jamie Hoover looking for her 3rd strikeout on the day.
Great performance by Ashley Rogers. This pitching staff this year, a 2.2 earned run average, opponents hitting 200. This one is a fly ball to left. Holcomb has another one, a 1-2-3 inning for Rogers on just 7 pitches. Last chance for Tennessee here in Gainesville coming up. 2 national championships won by Florida, 2014 and 2015. They are 3 outs away from returning to the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City. As you take a look at the bracket presented by Capital One, the winner of this series gets the final spot in OKC and will take on Oklahoma State in game number 1. Kelly Barnhill trying to go the distance. Haley Bearden leads things off with a fly ball deep to right center field. It is way back and it is gone!
The senior, Haley Bearden, coming up big when her team needed it most. She struck out twice earlier in the game and comes into this 3rd at-bat aggressive on the first pitch that she sees from Kelly Barnhill. We know that Bearden has so much power up at the plate, and look at this. She just turns on it and drives this one well over the right center wall to tie up this ball game in the top of the 7th inning.
'15th home run of the season for the senior from Clarksville, Tennessee. 1 home run the first 3 years of her Tennessee career. 15 now as a senior.
And none bigger than that one right there.
Now a ground ball to Adams off the bat of Morgan, 1 away. You saw Tim Walton didn't waste any time to get out to the circle to huddle up with Kelly Barnhill.
And for Barnhill, she just has to refocus after that pitch. Knowing how strong Haley Bearden is, she just absolutely crushed that ball, but a good job to come right back the very next at bat and get Ashley Morgan to hit a ground ball to her infield.
Big rip by Kaylin Hannon for strike 1. Hannon's 0 for 2 against Barnhill today. And now Karen Weekly wants to talk with the junior center fielder. Barnhill threw 158 pitches last night. Walton pulled her in the 9th inning. He said after the game she was gassed. He said when rise balls bounce to the plate, that's when you know it's time.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good observation by his point. And today we've seen those rise ball really jumping up out of the zone. Again, I think that conversation was just trying to get her back in, get her refocused, and just to shake off that home run.
And this is the only time really that works well. We saw last night as this is fouled off. He thought about pulling her from the game in the 5th inning, he said last night, but she went out, remember, to the bullpen in between innings and worked on things. You can't work on anything right now. No. You cannot take it out of the field and try to find it. So Walton going out there and having a conversation with his senior star in the circle. 1-1 here in the 7th. 0-2 to Hannon.
The game of softball is so much about adjustments and who can make the adjustments the most often throughout the games. When you talk about an adjustment, Haley Bearden striking out twice in this game on a low rise ball and a 2-seam, and she comes up aggressive in that 3rd at bat.
Called strike 3. 2 down. Strikeout number 6 for Barnhill.
And Barnhill making adjustments of her own, goes to the low rise ball on the outside half of the plate to Kaylin Hannon and gets her looking. Challenging these batters right over the outside half of the plate. And that one goes in favor of Barnhill.
They'll bring up Caitlin Parsons, who is 2 for 2 against Barnhill today. Strike 1. Certainly got the Tennessee fans behind that Tennessee dugout fired up, and that dugout has still been celebrating that home run from Haley Bearden.
The rally visors are in full effect over there in the first base dugout.
Over to Barnhill, she'll underhand it to first to retire the side, but Tennessee ties it in this elimination game. Florida, the home team, has a chance to walk it off when we come back.
The biggest home run for Haley Bearden comes here in the top of the 7th to tie this one up, and into the bottom of the 7th we go.
Thanks to the heroics of senior Haley Bearden. Remember, she was brought out of the game as Poindexter went out and played right field, but then re-entered to bat in the top half of the 7th with the season on the line for Tennessee. Leads off with a solo home run to tie it at 1.
I'd say Coach Ralph Weekly is really happy about that decision to re-enter Haley Bearden up at the plate.
So now Tim Walton will counter. Cheyenne Lindsay will lead off. She's been outstanding in a pinch hitting role for Florida. How about the performance by freshman Ashley Rogers in the circle for Tennessee? She has retired 11 in a row, gave up just the 1 run in the first inning. She has kept Tennessee in this game.
And you can just see how her pitches are moving through the zone. And she's getting ahead of these batters. That is something that she was missing in Friday's game. She was falling behind, and that was forcing her to bring the ball over the heart of the plate. But today she's getting ahead, and that allows her to use her junk pitches, the pitches that are out of the zone. That's why you're seeing so many swings and misses by the Gators.
Lindsay chokes way up, trying to protect with the count 0-2. Just in this postseason, Cheyenne Lindsay had a pinch hit against Alabama in the SEC tournament. Came up huge in that spot. Florida was being no-hit by Boston University in game 1 of the NCAA tournament. Over to Segern on the first one away, but Lindsay can't get a hit this time as Segern is there.
Off the bat, I thought that one was going to sneak through the 5-6 hole, but Chelsea Segern had other plans. Snags this one hard off the bat of Lindsay, but able to fire it on over to first for the first out of this inning.
Here's Jade Caraway. Moving out into the on-deck circle. Talk about clutch. Jordan Matthews.
The postseason queen herself making an appearance in this game. Remember last year, Florida was down to their final strike. She hit a home run over the fence to send them to the World Series.
Caraway to the shortstop, Leach. 2 down. We take you back a year ago here in Gainesville and the heroics from Jordan Matthews.
This swing was just so clutch. Trinity Harrington, a drop ball pitcher. She throws that one up in the zone, and Jordan Matthews is all over it, sending her team to the Women's College World Series. And here she is coming up in the bottom of the 7th inning, 2 outs with a chance for a walk-off victory.
Her numbers aren't great this year, but it's the timely hit that matters. And Matthews had the 2-run walk-off double to beat South Carolina in the opening game of the SEC tournament for Florida. Think about where they might be if they didn't win that game. Would they be hosting a super regional? Likely not. When you add it with what they did after that,
Yes.
3-game run to win the SEC tournament title.
And you could feel the energy shift after that walk-off win. Everything starting to click for the Florida offense, and they have really just been on fire ever since. Rogers finding herself behind in the count to Jordan Matthews, trying to throw that changeup on the outside half of the plate, not able to get it up enough. Matthews in a good hitter's count to try to take advantage of something.
Two and one. Big cut for Matthews, trying to win it for Florida right there. Count evens up at 2-2.
She was not getting cheated on that swing. That was all or nothing. A big hack on that rise ball by Ashley Rogers.
Rogers has retired 13 in a row. Make it 14. We'll have extra innings for the second straight day here in Gainesville.
Rogers coming up clutch for this Lady Volunteers team. This screwball on the outside half of the plate to Matthews gets her to chase to send this game into extras.
It's time for our Capital One rewarding performance leading off the top half of the 7th. Her team down by a run. Haley Bearden hit her 15th home run of the season, and Tennessee forcing extra innings here in Gainesville.
Well, Bearden doing whatever she can to make sure she extends this season in her senior year, and what an adjustment to come up and swing first pitch off Kelly Barnhill and drive that ball well over the right center wall.
Pinch hitters to start things off here for Tennessee. Madison Piscini stepped in last night, a surprise for us to see her step in there, but she came through with a pinch hit RBI single in the 4th inning against Barnhill for the Lady Vols. She takes ball 1 from Barnhill. Piscini batting for Phillips. Piscini 8 for 42 at the plate this season. And that 8 was a memorable one, helping Tennessee here last night.
And Piscini taking a big hack on that rise ball, on that 1-1 pitch. She got a rise for a ball the first pitch, and then she got that low rise right about thigh high that she took for strike 1. And that's the pitch, if you're Tennessee, that you've got to jump all over, because now you found yourself behind in the count to Barnhill. When you're behind in the count, she's going to come up in the zone with that rise ball. It is moving like crazy today, and she gets Madison Piscini, the pinch hitter, to swing and miss to strike out to start out this inning.
Jenna Holcomb's 0 for 2. Was called out for stepping out of the box her last time. Tennessee took 2 out of 3 from Florida in the regular season. Chelsea Seger said about that series in March that it reminded Tennessee that not only had they played in this atmosphere where the crowd is against you, we have won in this atmosphere. And after losing game 1 Friday night 3-0, we've seen a different Tennessee team, certainly yesterday and now in the late innings here today. And we've seen that fight from their starting pitcher after giving up that run in the first inning in Ashley Rogers.
And I think that brought them so much confidence, and not to mention that Florida had a record crowd here yesterday with 3,100 fans, but it really fired them up. Hearing Kaylin Arnold talk about how she liked how loud the fans were. You've got to imagine that because they had already experienced this environment back in March, that gave them the confidence to be able to thrive in an environment like that.
Barnhill at the 100 pitch mark. 380 pitches now over these last 3 days. Blooper out to left field, but Caraway was shallow, and they're calling Holcomb out for stepping out of the box again anyways, 2 down.
We have seen that called so often in today's game, something we had not seen called all weekend long. But those umpires really zoning in, knowing that Tennessee has so many slappers in their lineup.
Back to the top of the order for Aubrey Leach, who's 1 for 2, reached on an infield single in the 6th, walked in the 3rd, struck out in the 1st.
We saw Aubrey Leach looking to stand in and hit away there, knowing that these umpires are looking for that foot out of the box. Now Florida's defense is still playing in to try to defend that slap if she were to go to it.
Doesn't slap, swings away, sends a fly ball to Caraway, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Kelly Barnhill. On to the bottom of the 8th in this elimination game in Gainesville. Recapping our winner-take-all matchup here. Gainesville Super Regional, first inning, a 2-out RBI single for Sofia Reynoso scored. Amanda Lorenz put Florida on top 1-0. Then it was a pitcher's duel for a long time after that.
Well, the pitchers have just been keeping their teams in this game as long as they possibly can, but it was Haley Bearden coming up in the top of the 7th saying she was not done just yet, and she ties up this ball game with that solo blast to right center.
The senior comes through for Tennessee to force extra innings. Tennessee trying to make it to the Women's College World Series for the 8th time, the first time since 2015. Florida attempting to go for a 3rd straight year and 10th overall. We just mentioned the senior Bearden. 2 seniors hitting back-to-back to start things off for Florida here in a tie game in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Alex Voss to start things off, then Amanda Lorenz to follow up. Voss swings at the first pitch. Holcomb has another put out, 1 down.
And if you're Florida, this is the exact batter that you want up with your game on the line. Amanda Lorenz has been so clutch for this team throughout her entire career here at Florida, and now she has a chance to win it all for her Gators.
In what could possibly be her last plate appearance here at her home park. She steps in with 1 down in a tie game in the bottom half of the 8th. Lorenz is 0 for 2. Flied out to left in the 2nd, did so again in the 5th, walked and scored in the 1st.
She really just missed both of those pitches out to left field. Barely underneath the rise balls that she's seeing from Ashley Rogers.
Line drive, fair ball. Down the left field line, Lorenz digging hard for 2nd. She'll slide in with a double here in the 8th.
And just as we were saying she was getting underneath the rise balls her past couple of at-bats, she makes a huge adjustment here in the bottom of the 8th. This pitch on the outside half of the plate, and she gets her barrel on top of it, and you can see her eyes following it all the way down the line. She knew immediately that she was going to take 2 bases and get a runner into scoring position for Kendall Lindemann.
The career .406 hitter comes through with her 13th double of the season, and here comes Lindemann. Kaylin Arnold, who threw 177 pitches last night for Tennessee, is down in the Lady Vols bullpen. Maddie Moss was up earlier. Right now it's in the hands of Ashley Rogers. Lindemann 0 for 3 against Rogers today. Have to wonder, of course, the game on the line right here for Lindemann, but Rogers has had the upper hand. If Rogers is able to get Lindemann, or if even Lindemann reaches base, you wonder if Rogers would face Adams, because Adams has had good looks against Rogers tonight.
I would say normally in this situation, it looks like Tennessee is going to intentionally walk Lindemann and put her on first with first base open. But as you mentioned, Eric, Hannah Adams, one of Florida's hottest hitters in the postseason, been able to put solid barrel on the ball all weekend long.
So an intentional walk to Lindemann. There's ball 4.
You can see right after that ball 4, she immediately turns around to her teammate Adams to fire her up. And this is the exact situation that Tim Walton has prepared Adams for when he sat down a couple of weeks ago and said, will you be able to be that person that can step up in that 3 spot when teams try to pitch around Lorenz and Lindemann? And she said, absolutely, put me there, I can do it. And she has been able to embrace that role and has done so well for the Gators in this postseason.
Karen Weekly has gone out to the circle to talk to Ashley Rogers. Looks like Lindemann is going to leave for a pinch runner. She will. And Haven Sampson will run for Lindemann. Adams has put the ball in play 3 times against Ashley Rogers. Singled in the first, doubled in the third, flied out to left in the 6th.
And again, that fly out to left was a loud out, just missing underneath that rise ball on the outside half of the plate. Made solid contact all day long. But this is the biggest at-bat of the day, a chance to win it for her Gators here in the bottom of the 8th. Biggest at-bat for Hannah Adams, but also the biggest at-bat for Ashley Rogers, the freshman in the circle for this Tennessee squad. Gonna have to go right after her challenger. See what she's gonna do.
First pitch to Adams. Strike 1. Rogers had retired 15 in a row before the double by Lorenz. She's the winning run at second base. 0-1. 0-2. Swung on a ground ball, jumps up on the first baseman. Good job by Morgan to keep it in front of her to get the force at first. 2 down.
That play was huge. If that ball goes by Ashley Morgan, Amanda Lorenz scores easily, and this ball game is over. Look at the hop that one takes, but Morgan using her body, blocking it with her shoulder to keep that ball in front of her and secure out number 2.
She had her shoulder, she had her throwing hand up there. It took a bad bounce, but she did all she could to play goalie there to keep it from getting down the right field line and ending this game. Now here is Jamie Hoover. Fouls it off for strike 1. Hoover struck out in the first, again in the third, and again in the 6th. Line drive, base hit left field, and Florida's heading to Oklahoma City. Jamie Hoover rounded first, ended up at second. The celebration carried to the outfield. They keep right on going to the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City. The Gators win it with a walk-off here in the 8th.
Incredible fight by both of these teams that we saw this entire weekend and of course today. But it's the production from the entire offense from Florida that's been able to propel them in this postseason. Jamie Hoover getting this pitch down in the zone, a drop ball almost at her shins, and she's aggressive and she goes down and drives it into the left center gap to allow Amanda Lorenz to score the walk-off run and send them to Oklahoma City.
How fitting that the senior in her final game here at KSP scores the run, and Reynoso, the emotional leader of this team, the first one to sprint out there and get to Jamie Hoover.
There are no words that can describe the excitement that you're seeing from this Florida team. And Tennessee giving it their all, aggressive. Yesterday being able to send this game into a game 3, tying it up in the top of the 7th, but fall 1 run short to the Gators in the bottom of the 8th.
A walk-off win for the Lady Vols in Game 2. A walk-off win for Florida in the deciding Game 3 that sends the Gators back to the Women's College World Series. The 10th trip in program history and their 3rd in a row. They will take on Oklahoma State Thursday in OKC. Once again, our final score. Florida wins it in 8 innings, 2-1 the final over Tennessee. Coming up next, it's ESPNW. For Madison Shipman and our entire crew here in Gainesville, I'm Eric Free. Congratulations to the Florida Gators. They've got the final ticket to Oklahoma City. The celebration is on here in Gainesville thanks to Jamie Hoover, who came through with the game-winning RBI in the bottom of the 8th to send Florida to the Women's College World Series. Jamie, congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell me how it feels to be the hero here for the Gators here today.
It feels amazing. It feels great.
Your teammates want to say something. Oh, that's a great say. I didn't think there was a shot we would continue this interview. We're going to continue the interview, Jamie. Congratulations. What a professional.
So, Jamie, you come up with the game on the line. What is going through your mind as you step up to the plate?
I just wanted to get a hit. And I tried to stay within myself and just get it done.
There's no question you had struggled at the plate against Rogers. Is that in your mind as you step to the plate, or are you trying to erase everything that's happened here today?
Right. I had a short memory. I had to have a short memory. I couldn't think about what happened before. I just had to keep going and just get it done for my team.
I know the seniors mean a lot to you, and to score Amanda Lorenz with this hit must be one big thrill for you.
Yeah, it was amazing. Amanda got it started, and I just wanted to hit her in.
And describe the emotions from you and your teammates right now, getting the opportunity to play in Oklahoma City.
It's amazing. We feel good. The energy here is amazing. As you can see, they're so hyped, and it just feels great.
Well, we're going to let you join them, although I would say most times you wouldn't like the ice bucket being dumped on you, but when it's 98 degrees, it feels good.
It feels good, yeah.
It feels great to have the walk-off win. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.